Good evening, everyone. My name is Betty Bogg, and I'm the Executive Director of Connections for the Homeless. As many of you know, under normal circumstances, we would be hosting these celebrations quarterly at faith communities throughout Evanston. We're not quite out of the pandemic woods yet, which is why I'm delighted to welcome you to our second virtual milestone, where we celebrate the accomplishments of program participants, supporters, and staff. This last year has been full of challenges and loss, yet also resiliency, ingenuity, and success in overcoming what often felt like impossible odds. Connections has grown in so many ways over the last 14 months. Our staff, our budget, the number of participants we serve have doubled, even quadrupled in some cases. Our shelter operations has shifted into hotels, allowing us to serve any household configuration. Large families, couples, seniors, and their adult-aged children. We prevented 1,600 neighbors from facing homelessness when the eviction moratorium ends by catching them up on rent and mortgage payments. We have a lot to reflect on and celebrate tonight. In a year of dramatic political and social polarization, the pandemic revealed the fragility of many people's housing, while demonstrating still how communities can work together to respond to the increased need for shelter, bringing communities like ours even closer to ending homelessness. Service providers like us around the country have begun reshaping programs, moving into unused hotels to create a more dignified and effective shelter model. Historically large investments, including new commitments, are being made to homeless services from private funders, like the recently announced grant of $100 million to the national organization Community Solutions, and locally through public funding partners like the Village of Skokie, the City of Evanston, Cook County, and more. This work is starting to get the attention it deserves and needs. I hope you saw our own story highlighted on the front page of the Chicago Tribune last month. Ending homelessness is truly within our reach. Our model works. We remain committed to locating housing for every individual in our care. You will hear from 3 participants tonight with whom we partnered to end their homelessness. I often talk about the 3 pillars of our work: eviction prevention, shelter, and housing. There is another parallel set of pillars that make the work of Connections possible. The 3 pillars of our community: our staff, participants, and supporters. No matter which of these pillars you identify with, and it could be more than one, we are excited you are watching, and we honor you as well. Before we move ahead with the celebration, it's important that we pause and recognize the losses we have experienced in our Connections community. Last fall, staff, participants, supporters, and their families gathered to celebrate the lives of those we had lost in the prior year. Tonight, I would like to honor those we have lost since. We are grateful to walk with participants. We serve them both in life and in death, knowing that their burdens were made lighter through their work with us. Tonight, we mourn the loss and celebrate the lives of Latarisha Tasha Harris, Michael Smiter, Neil Wasserman, Jermaine Pride, Trina Taylor, Richard Dean Finacci, Malcolm Eisenhower, and Dimitri DiCalo. We are grateful to have been part of the lives of these participants and share our deepest sympathies with their family and friends. These participants will ever hold a place in our hearts and in the Connections family. Now I'd like to introduce you to Kira. Kira and her young child came to Connections during the pandemic when they had nowhere else to go. Kira is a registered nurse, Loyola graduate, and mother of 2. As you'll hear shortly, she was evicted from her North Suburban home and was experiencing homelessness for the first time. Facing significant hardship and loss, Kira remained resilient, hopeful, and strong. Eager to get back on her feet, she called Connections. She and her child moved into our hotel shelter and partnered with our staff to secure housing on their own. Kira is an amazing person, and we are excited to share more about her journey with you tonight.
I am a registered nurse. I went to Loyola for bachelor's in science, and then I went to Harper for nursing. Benjamin was born with 2 pre-existing conditions, and his doctors said that he couldn't go to daycare until he was 2. So that tied my hands where I couldn't work, and that's where I ended up in the shelter because I had nowhere to go. All the savings went for him because his father wasn't helping at all. Homelessness doesn't discriminate against anyone. Anybody can be in this situation. And that only when you walk into those shoes you realize that. Benjamin's father, my ex-husband, myself, we lived in Glenview in a big house. We had everything. I had never experienced shelter. I've never been in a shelter before. I've never experienced a situation before. So I was unaware of what to do and where to call and where to go. 2 years prior, losing my mom, and then 6 months later, losing my dad. Everything piled up, and it's like you got to breathe. You got to go on. And because of Benjamin, I couldn't put my feet down, and I had to go. In reality, I didn't lose a lot. I still have my 2 kids. That's a blessing. It's hard when you don't have anybody here. When you're by yourself, you literally don't have anyone to call. I got this connections number from an 800 number, along with a bunch of other different numbers. I mean, out of all the places, Connections is the only one that actually helped, gave 100% of themselves. I realized when I walked in that this is going to be it. That's what's going to help me get back on my feet. And I was right. I can't thank Connections enough and all the people that were in it, that were helping us. Anything that you had asked for or needed, you came up to your caseworker. They were able to help you with anything you needed, absolutely anything there was to do. Every service that a human possible may need, Connections is able to provide. This experience made me who I am today. I'm a way stronger woman, If you have different names and Connections is on your list, call Connections first. Because you're not going to make another call after this. That's going to be it. You'll call Connections, you'll get help. You just need to be willing to help your own self, and then they'll help you.
We're so happy for you, Kira. In the past, staff have nominated one staff member to be recognized at Milestone events. But this last year has demonstrated that now more than ever, it takes an entire team to do this work. That is why Connections management team has decided to recognize the entirety of our hotel shelter staff who have courageously worked on the front lines to ensure the safety and health of the participants who have sheltered with us over the last year. The hotel team fearlessly navigated uncharted territories, defined what shelter could look like, solved problems, and reconfigured operations sometimes on a daily basis. They faced unexpected challenges, and all with inspiring, unwavering passion and generosity of spirit. So often participants share their gratitude for the friendliness, compassion, and commitment of the hotel staff members. Small moments like providing extra blankets, delivering meals with a smile, patiently answering questions, these aren't really small moments at all. This level of care is what sets Connections apart, and it's what makes me so proud to be part of this team. Thank you to each and every staff member who has worked in our hotel operations over the last 14 months and who helped us shelter 350 people, including 70 children, conduct several COVID testing days and 2 vaccination events, provide 150,000 meals, many of which were delivered door to door, move over 200 people into stable housing, but most of all, reimagine what our shelter operations could look like and allow us to take concrete steps toward fulfilling our mission of ending homelessness in our community. And just like it says in our mission, we did that one person at a time. Thank you to every staff member who has helped build, run, and grow our hotel operations. Next, I'm delighted to honor Carlos Duani. After the death of Carlos's mother, the Duani family home was lost following a series of predatory mortgage and legal scams. Staying with friends, family, and sometimes overnight in his car, I met Carlos when he began visiting our drop-in center almost daily to shower, pick up a sack lunch and a change of clothes before going to his job as a school crossing guard. When COVID-19 hit and schools went remote, Carlos lost his job. As soon as we could, we moved Carlos into our new hotel shelter. Then we partnered with him to secure a permanent home in downtown Evanston through our rapid rehousing program. Today, Carlos is happy to be back at work and is thriving in his new home. Through every challenge Carlos faced, he remained positive and calm, persevering through each hardship with courage and humility. Carlos is a cherished member of the Connections family, and we are so happy to honor him tonight. Now let's hear from Carlos himself.
My name is Claudio Duani. Everyone here, since I've grown up, knows me as Carlos. I do traffic control at the high school, and then I work with special needs kids for Nazareth. Many people couldn't believe that I was in such transition, because I didn't look the part. I had the family building here in Evanston. They petitioned the court and asked the building to be sold. So that just put me out here. Somebody suggested to me, do you know about Connections? And I had never heard of it. They made sure that when I was in transition that, okayed it for me to come early and shower and get myself together every morning. By me landing at Connections, it just settled me down, because you still have to consider your blessings regardless what you're going through. And they've been a blessing to me. They just really work with you to put you back on your feet. I was blessed enough to get on this other program that they have called Rapid Rehousing. Got a little apartment and all is well, gives you peace of mind, just kind of brings you back to where, from where you came from. What I would tell folks, just show up. Just show up.
We are so happy for you, Carlos. Next, it's my great honor to recognize a very special volunteer, Gail Doof. Gail first learned about Connections through her faith community at Beth Emmet, and now 3 years later, Gail has become a deeply committed volunteer and supporter who is involved in multiple aspects of our work. Gail started out volunteering in our clothing room, moved to welcoming participants at our drop-in front desk, and eventually began preparing hot lunches for participants sheltering in hotels. Gail has continuously adapted her volunteer work to meet our evolving needs. We know we can count on her to help when we need her most. Her unwavering commitment to our participants and to our mission, her friendliness and her kindness, her generosity of spirit, and her many gifts and talents that she shares with us are what make Gail such a special part of our volunteer community. We are excited to recognize you, your commitment, and your passion tonight, Gail. Now let's hear from Gail about her experience volunteering with Connections.
I've been volunteering at Connections for just about 3 years. I was always aware of the agency because my synagogue partners with Connections for lots of different things, and I was very active in a soup kitchen for a while. But when I had more free time in my schedule, I started working in the clothing room about 3 years ago. And started 1 day a week, and then I moved up to 2 days a week. And then because there was a gap in some staffing, I learned how to be a receptionist, and I started being a receptionist at Hilda's Place twice a week. And I really enjoyed that because I got to interact with the participants a lot more and get to know some of them and work with the staff and the case managers more, and I really enjoyed that. I'm a trained pastry chef, and I owned my own cafe with some partners for 5 years. I really love feeding people, and that's part of sort of my life, is nurturing and welcoming and creating hospitality for people. And so I really wanted to find a way to cook for some of the Connections participants. So I started making lunches and donating them, but unfortunately I couldn't donate everything all the time. So I was able to work with Connections to create a project where I get to cook lunch with a team of 3 other people. We call ourselves the Lunch Squad, twice a week, and we are making hot lunches for a fraction of the cost of restaurant lunches. And it's been so satisfying because it satisfies my need to serve, but it also satisfies my need to cook, and I'm having fun with people in a safe environment. I would just say that over my time volunteering, I have met so many amazing people, not just the participants, but my fellow volunteers and the staff and the case managers, particularly at Hilda's Place. I'm just in awe of you guys. The work that you do is amazing.
Gail, thank you for the many ways you make our work possible. And thank you to all of our volunteers who are watching tonight. We could not do this work without you. Last but not least, I'm honored to introduce you to Quandra drummer. Perhaps you saw Quandra's photo on the front page of the Chicago Tribune last month as part of our story about our work, but her story is quite newsworthy. She is a mother of 6 who passed the bar exam while sheltering with us in a hotel. Throughout her journey, Quandra remained focused on her family and her goals with patience, grace, and perseverance. She has shared a deep appreciation for the Connections staff who supported her and her family and helped her study for and pass the bar, all while looking for housing. But we are also grateful for Quandra, who has deeply touched our hearts. We are so proud of you, so happy for you and your family, and so grateful that you are part of our Connections family. Now let's hear from Quandra about her experience and journey to housing.
I am Quandra, the mother of 6 children. I am Quandra, the licensed lawyer who overcame homelessness, who came from the projects in Chicago. You know how people say they came from small beginnings? I came from no beginnings. And I was not supposed to get out because a lot of my family are still stuck there. The foundation of my support was my kids. They're the reason I wake up. They're the reason I get out of bed every day. I'm a lawyer from Naperville with 6 kids, homeless. It does something to you after a while. I couldn't see my way out of it. I could not see how I was going to get us out of it. I approached things like a math problem, and I could not see how to solve this problem. I just could not. Homelessness does not care what socioeconomic class you come from. It does not care what color you are. It doesn't care what sex you are. It does not care. Things I needed, whether big or small, Connections was there. I needed a prep course to study for the bar. Connections paid for the prep course. I could not have passed the bar without Connections paying for the prep course. And every staff member was equally nice. Every staff member made me feel like family. It's like they have special nice training or something, I don't know. Everybody is equally wonderful. And it's top down. I never had a bad experience with anybody, only pleasant experiences. And that meant a lot. And I think that's what helps me to say, I can do this. I can figure this out. Quite often I replay my first day moving into the hotel. I didn't know what to expect, long story short. And this very mild-mannered man took me and my 6 kids to a very, very nice hotel suite and said, this is for you. And I said, all of this space is for us? And he said, I'll be right back with some food. And we went in and I sat down and I cried. I had gotten placed on a list for housing, and I'd worked with my my housing person to try and find a location for housing. And after many months of trying to find something, I couldn't find that right fit. Nothing was working. She was looking, I was looking, other staff members were looking. Everybody was trying to help this mom with 6 kids find something. Nobody would accept me with my voucher because I had so many kids. It broke me down. I had someone tell me, I thought about it and you have too many kids. I had another person tell me, you're a lawyer, why are you homeless? They were discriminating against me because of my family size. It basically always came down to I had a large family and they didn't want to rent to me. It wasn't about them being afraid the rent wouldn't be paid because I had support. They didn't want to rent to a mom with 6 kids. I had no idea coming into Connections the impact that it would make on my family. But from day one, my life has changed for the better. And it's because of the love, time, and care that donors have given to Connections that differences were made in my life. Thank you, Connections, for helping me make a change so that I can give my baby something else, because I could not have done it on my own. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Quandra, we could not be happier for you. You are a true inspiration to us. Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual Milestone celebration tonight. We're so glad that you were able to tune in and hear from these amazing members of our community. We appreciate your support and hope to gather again soon, maybe even in person.